Okay, let's get started. So in this video number 2 of the What's My Trade Worth script, we're going to jump in and get started on Plan B and Plan C and Plan D. But before we get to Plan B, I wanted to back it up and go ahead and jump on Plan A, which is the enthusiasm. Just recap it real quick. So what's my trade worth? Again, this question can come really early in a sales call. It could be the first question you get asked, and how you handle this question, how you respond to it, is going to determine whether the call ends up in a positive way, that is, with an appointment or an opportunity to meet with the customer to actually take a look at their car and to put a number on it, but more importantly, to help them find their next car. So let's just run through it real quick. We need to build enthusiasm about the question. Instead of being a naysayer when they ask the question and fighting with them, let's just be real positive and say, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Truth is, it is a great question. Without that question being asked, you'll never discover there's a trade until too late in the game. So let's get it out there and let's just talk about it and let's affirm the customer, make them feel good about asking the question. Next thing we want to do is we want to begin to build rapport with the customer and get excited about their car and express a high level of interest in their trade-in vehicle. So we're going to ask some questions. Tell me a little bit about it. They'll tell you year, make, model. Did you buy it new or used? Just kind of walk through these questions in a conversational tone so that you're able to get excited about the car in a genuine way and learn a little bit about the customer. This is not the time to devalue their car. The whole purpose of this section is for you to build rapport, to get excited, to give them a sense of hope that you're going to give them a lot for their trade, that you're easy to deal with, and then you're going to move forward by saying, boy, that's a great car. We could really use a car like that on our lot. Now we're going to be transparent. We're going to tell them what we'd like to do. Here's what I'd like to do. When you stop in, I'm going to have my used car manager take it for a spin, check it out, do some research in an effort to get you the most money for it. That's what you want, right? Yes, great. When would you like to do that, today or tomorrow? Obviously, if they hit on that, we're going to close and we're going to set up the appointment time and we're going to do our appointment setting process. But then there are the customers that we're going to get that don't go for that. And they're going to say, well, no, I live in Timbuktu plus 100. I'm not driving in there without a trade-in value. Then we're going to go to the strategy of the KBB Black Book, Edmunds, or Blue Book strategy. And maybe some of you who use this right now, it might even be your A plan right now, but I'm suggesting that this become your B plan. Let's get really solid on the A plan first, and you won't get to this B plan nearly as often. So now when you get to the B plan, you're going to recommend that they check out online a value. Maybe they go to Kelley Blue Book, maybe they go to Black Book to get a value. So just ask them, have you checked online to get an idea of its value? Doesn't matter to me whether they say yes or no. Makes no difference. My next response is going to be the same, but it does help me to know if they've started to do their research or they just calling blindly. It'll also, sometimes they'll spit out here the fact that they'd gotten a value from another dealer. When you say that, have you checked online to get an idea of its value? Well, no, not yet, but I was at another dealer. So it helps you get some idea on where they're at in the process. Now, whether they say yes or no, I'm going to respond, well, I recommend you do. So I'm not hiding behind Black Book and Blue Book. I'm bringing it up. Boy, I recommend you do. But make sure you use a fair to good trade-in condition. This should get you close. Most cars are in that fair to good condition. Very few cars are in excellent condition. So if you've done your research and you use that value, we're going to be pretty close. We're usually within that range. Then when you get here, notice I'm going back to this assumptive close. I'm not asking them to come in. I'm saying then when you get here, we'll appraise it and make you an offer. Appraising it and making an offer are not the same thing. Technically, they're not the same thing. Appraising is just putting a value on it. Making an offer is saying what would we'd be willing to pay for it. When I sold cars, and it's been a little while, granted, but I never wanted to tell a customer what their car was worth. I would never say your car's worth X. Now, why? Because I realized after saying that to people, I was really only picking a fight with them, because they could argue with me about its value all day long. Well, it's worth more than that. It's worth more than that. They could argue with me all day long. So I never told them what it was worth. I always told them what we were willing to pay. What it's worth and what I'm willing to pay are not the same thing. Now they can argue with what I'm willing to pay, and I can justify why I'm willing to pay it, but fighting over the value is not a good fight. It's not a fight you're going to win. But sometimes they will say, well, it's worth more than that. And at that point, I always agree with them. I never disagree with them. I never say, well, no, it's not because it needs this, that, and the other thing. I would say, absolutely. I believe your car is worth more than that after we put a set of tires on it, after we fully detail it, once we put it on the lot and we do our advertising and put a warranty on it. Yeah, absolutely. It's worth more than that. So I never go negative. I always go positive. When they tell me it's worth more than that, I agree with them. Boy, you're right. In fact, I'm convinced. Sometimes they'll even spit a number. No, it's worth 10. You're only offering me 8. Well, you're absolutely right. In fact, I think it might be worth more than 10 after it's been safety inspected. We put a warranty on it, clean it, and do some advertising on it, and then we stand behind it. Heck, if we do all that, I'd probably ask 11. Sometimes even bump them on their number. So I'm never negative. I never tell them, well, it's not worth 10 because we got to do this, that, and the other thing. I agree with them. Yeah, I think it is worth 10 after we do all this stuff to it. All right. And so we're going back to the script. Then we'll appraise it and make you an offer and close right there. When would you like to get together, today or tomorrow? Now, I didn't give them, at this point, I didn't give them a value, but the books are giving them values. And if they've done their homework and they've used these ranges fair to good, and they're still thinking it's worth more than that, then they really are going to have to justify that number to me. But I'm telling them, hey, we're usually in that range. Well, can't you give me a number over the phone? So use this strategy. Have you checked online to get an idea of its value? Well, yeah, I have. Okay, well, I recommend you do using fair to good condition. This should get you relatively close. We're usually in that range. When you get here, we'll appraise it and make you an offer. When would you like to do that? Today or tomorrow? It's a very simple close, but by using this, they've put a number on it. The books have put a number on it. If they think the books are nuts, they're not going into any dealership because every dealership is going to be close to the books. So this is a really simple strategy. But again, this strategy won't work if we didn't use the A plan. So start with A and then go to B. Now let's talk about the customer who's a real SOB, if you will. Sorry for the expression, but maybe they live 200 miles away. It's odd to me that they're calling a dealer 200 miles away from their home to get a value on their trade-in, unless you've got a car that nobody else within 200 miles of their house has. And if you think about that, if they live 200 miles away from you, the radius from their house is 400 miles away from you in any direction, except your direction. So they're really looking for a strange duck. If they really are interested in a car that is 400 miles away from their house in any one direction, they're probably going to be flexible on that trade-in. All right. So now let's go to the B plan. If that doesn't work, I'm going to go to the B plan. Now the B plan is the help me, help you plan. Okay. So this strategy is about getting the customer to partner with you, join lock arms with you, get their duffs off the couch and do something to help you get them the most money for their trade. So it's the help me, help you scenario. And this is what we're going to say to the customer. Okay, I understand you live 200 miles away and I understand you don't want to drive all the way in just to get a value on a trade. Heck, I wouldn't do that. Come into agreement with them. I guess I wouldn't do that either. So here's what I'd like to do. In order to give you a range on your car, it would really be best to show it to my manager. One way we could do this is by giving him some pictures or videos. When would you be able to take some pictures with your smartphone and maybe even a video and send it to me? And then what I'll do is I'll show him the pictures and the videos and I'll ask him what he thinks. Right? So this is an interesting strategy. It's not as crystal clear as you think it is, right? So getting them to get up off their couch and go out and do something to help you. Now they're working with you. Now they've come alongside you. They're working to help you, help them get the most for their trade. And one thing I've learned in life is um, a good way to build a relationship. There's two good ways, and if you can put those two good ways together and make them one, you can build a strong relationship. One good way to build strong relationships is to dine together, to eat, to have lunch, to go on a picnic or a party. That's a great way to build relationships. The other great way to build relationships is to work together, to work with somebody. When you start working with people, you start to build a relationship. Now, obviously, if you can put those two together, like the Amish do, you can build a barn in one day, right? So if you can get them to begin working with you, they're going to become more malleable, more flexible. They're going to be in a partnership with you to help them get the most for their trade. So if you can get them to get up off the couch, go out and take some pictures, and then email those pictures to you, or a video, better yet, to you, then the next strategy is going to work really well. So use this word track. In order to give you a range on your car, it would be best to show it to my manager, of course. One way we can do this is we could show him some pictures and maybe a video of the car. When would you be able to take some pictures and maybe even a video and email it to me so I can show it to him and see what he thinks? Get a commitment from him. Okay, great. After you do that, give me a call to make sure I got them, and then I'll show them to my boss. Okay, make sure you get the contact information. They're going to give you all their information now, and then let them get that information and email it over to you. Now, at this point, you can, once you get those pictures and you have them, you have two options. The first option is the no-brainer, and that is go show them to your boss and see if your boss will give a number let you give a number over the phone. Sometimes they will, not all sales managers are so hard-nosed they'd lose a deal over giving a number over the phone. Of course, there'll be a lot of asterisks and caveats to that value, but you could go show the pictures to the boss. You go to your boss, hey, boss, I got this guy who lives 200 miles away. He wants to buy our Camry, but he wants to get an idea on his trade before he drives all the way over. He sent me some pictures. Here's the details. So make sure you have all the details, the mileage, the condition, all that. Here's the details. Here's the pictures. And he even shot a video. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at that? Would you be willing to take a look at it and maybe give me a number so I can call him back? And leave the ball in your manager's court, right? Don't go to your manager and tell your manager about how big of an SOB the customer is. Don't paint the customer in a bad light to your manager. Be optimistic about the customer, because if you go over to the manager and say, man, I'm talking to this SOB 200, he's really being a pain in the butt. Let's just, lowball his trade. If you do that, your negative attitude is going to spill onto your manager, and your manager is going to adopt the same attitude. Right? So be positive, be optimistic. Tell your manager, hey, the guy lives 200 miles away. He's hoping to get a number before he drives in. In fact, he went out and took some pictures and he got a video. Here's all the details. What do you think? Maybe your manager will say, yeah, call him back. Tell him we're going to be in that 8 to 85 or 8 to 9,000 range. I don't know, but I know you're not fighting with either your manager or the customer at this point. Let's say you get the pictures and your manager says, no, I'm not giving him a number on the phone. What are you going to do then? Well, here's what I've done, and it works pretty effectively. Now, remember, we laid the foundation. We've been through A and B, and now we're on C. The customer got up, went out and did some work. They're trying to help them buy a car from us. What I've done before is I just call them back. I thank them. Hey, Bob, it's Tony at ABC Motors. Hey, I really wanted to thank you for taking the time to get out and get those pictures and get that video of that car. Here's what I did. I took it to my manager. He looked at your pictures, gave him all the details. He watched the videos. He really likes your car. He's really excited about the car. He wants to get you the most money for it. He said in order for him to do that, he really wants to drive it. So he said he's going to be here tonight until 9. So he got a few more hours. I don't think you're going to make it tonight, but he's also here tomorrow morning. What time can I tell him you'll stop in tomorrow? All right. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. It will work, not 100% of the time. There's no 100% answers, but we did A, B. We're now on C, right? And we're calling him back, and now he's helping us. It will work more often than you think. And what I'm here to tell you is stop being a naysayer and just try it. Get convinced that it will work, and it will work. Trust me, I've used it. It works. but I've never done that as my A plan. It's always my C plan. Okay. And ultimately, if the customer says, hell no, I'm not coming in, I need a number over the phone, go back to your original A plan, what you've been doing for years. Allow me to talk to my manager and see what he's willing to do. Go back to your boss and say, the guy's not coming in without a number. He's just not coming in. I've done this, I've done that. I got pictures. You've looked at it. He's not coming in. Put the ball back in your manager's court. Don't paint the customer in a bad light. Just go back and say, he's not coming in. He won't come in without a number. You've got all the information I can give you. What do you want me to do? Sometimes the manager say, okay, I'll give him a number. Other times the manager say, hell no, if you can't get him in here, whatever. Call the guy back and said, I'm sorry, we're just not willing to do that over the phone. Guys, there is a point in a conversation where you just say no, where you're done. And you don't have to be bombastic about it. You don't have to be belligerent. You don't have to treat the customer poor. In fact, if you treat them right, you might discover 10 minutes after you hang up the phone, they call you back and say, no, I guess I will come in. So stop being belligerent or argumentative and fighting with the customer, and they just might surprise you. But if they don't like you, they're not going to drive across the street to get an appraisal. But if you're easy to deal with, if you're friendly, if you've tried everything you can to help them sincerely, you just might be surprised on that customer that you said, he's not willing to give you a number over the phone. He said he really wants you to bring it in before he puts a number on it. You might be surprised by how many customers say, yeah, I guess I will. Because remember, if they're a long ways away and they're calling to trade in their car at your dealership, you have a car they want. You have the car they want. They will be more flexible. But at the end of the day, you might just have to say, nope, we're not willing to do that. So I hope you found this helpful. I give you 4 different word tracks. I want you to go back and think about the plan A. That's the key to all of these word tracks. And make sure you're using A, B, C, and D with a right attitude in a can-do spirit. And I think you'll get more appointments off of customers who want to trade value over the phone. I think you'll get more appointments without giving a number than you ever thought possible. Hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching.